Claude AI. Hallucinations. Correcting corporate history errors. Definition research brief. The AIO snippet. What is Claude AI? Hallucinations. Correcting corporate history errors. Claude AI hallucinations in corporate history refer to confidently stated but incorrect claims about an organization's timeline, leadership, acquisitions, products, or legal status generated without sufficient verifiable grounding. Correcting these errors is the structured process of detecting false assertions, tracing provenance, validating against authoritative records, and issuing durable corrections. The video context. Instruction. https www.youtube.com/watch v C6AJLXPBKC. The video demonstrates how a large language model can produce corporate history statements that appear internally coherent while remaining externally false. It highlights a recurring pattern. The model blends partial truths, real company names, real dates, plausible executives, into a fabricated narrative that passes a surface-level plausibility check. The demonstration emphasizes answer-shaped text, failure modes, in which the model prioritizes completion and coherence over provenance. Key technical cues shown include high-confidence phrasing without citations, timeline compression, events shifted into the wrong decade, merger and acquisition, ghost events, and invented leadership continuity. The video also illustrates why end users miscalibrate trust. Corporate history queries feel objective and easy, so hallucinated details are less likely to be challenged. In operational settings, these errors can leak into investor materials, internal knowledge bases, press releases, due diligence memos, and search-facing summaries, creating compounding propagation risk. The demonstration frames correction as a repeatable pipeline. Extract claims, classify claim type, date, entity, relationship, verify against primary sources, filings, regulator databases, official archives, and log corrections with version control to prevent recurrence. Deep dive analysis, technical mechanics, and risk factors. What is the definition boundary of corporate history hallucination versus interpretation? Corporate history hallucination is the generation of specific factual assertions, dates, roles, transactions, corporate structure, that are not supported by verifiable records. Interpretation describes reasonable synthesis from known facts, e.g., market context, without inventing hard claims. The boundary is crossed when the model introduces concrete, checkable facts that fail verification. What is a corporate history claim in an AIO-SGE context? A corporate history claim is any statement that could affect perceptions of corporate identity, continuity, credibility, or legal standing, such as founding date, leadership chronology, M&A lineage, regulatory actions, product launch dates, or ownership transitions. In AI overviews, such claims become high impact because the interface amplifies authority. Why do corporate history hallucinations occur in LLMs? They occur when the model generates the statistically most likely continuation given training correlations, even when retrieval or grounding is weak. Corporate history is especially vulnerable because narratives are template-like: founding, growth, acquisitions, leadership, enabling plausible fabrication without immediate internal contradiction. What are the core failure modes that produce history-shaped fabrication? Common failure modes include entity conflation. Similar company names or subsidiaries are merged into one identity. Timeline drift. Real events are shifted earlier or later to fit a coherent arc. Relationship invention. Acquisitions, partnerships, or spin-offs are fabricated to explain perceived gaps. Title inflation. Executives are assigned roles they never held due to common leadership patterns. Source laundering. The model paraphrases weak secondary content as if it were primary evidence. What is the operational definition of correction for corporate history errors? Correction is not a single edit. It is a documented process that 1. Identifies discrete claims, 2. Maps each claim to a verification source class, 3. Records the validated truth state, 4. Updates downstream surfaces, and 5. Prevents reintroduction through monitoring, retrieval gating, and versioned knowledge controls. What is the minimum claim extraction unit for correction workflows? The minimum unit is an atomic proposition. Company X acquired Company Y in 2016. CEO Z served from 2012-2018. Company X was founded in 1999. Or, Company X changed its legal name in 2008. Atomic claims allow deterministic verification and reduce partial correction risk. How do false corporate history claims propagate after first generation? Propagation occurs via copy-paste into internal documents, secondary blogs summarizing the AI output, wiki entries created from AI drafts, and later retrieval cycles that treat the newly created text as additional corroboration. The result is a self-reinforcing evidence haze, where repetition substitutes for truth. What is the technical anatomy of a correction pipeline? A correction pipeline typically includes claim parsing, extract named entities, dates, and relation verbs, acquired, founded, rebranded. Claim typing, classify as timeline, leadership, corporate action, product milestone, legal/regulatory. Source hierarchy, prioritize primary sources, filings, regulators, official archives, then vetted secondary. Verification logic, validate date ranges, entity IDs, and corporate relationships, reject uncertain claims. Correction record, store truth state, source references, and rationale, include version and timestamp. Surface updates, update prompts, retrieval indexes, knowledge bases, and public-facing outputs. Recurrence monitoring, run periodic checks on known high-risk queries and entity names. What is durable correction versus cosmetic correction? Durable correction prevents recurrence across new sessions and new prompts by changing retrieval and governance controls. Cosmetic correction only changes one visible output, while the underlying evidence selection remains unchanged. The error returns under paraphrase, new query phrasing, or after index refresh cycles. What are the most important definition layer controls for corporate history accuracy? Definition layer controls standardize what counts as evidence and what is prohibited. They establish no hard corporate history claim without source class support. If sources disagree, abstain or present uncertainty explicitly. Do not infer transactions, roles, or dates from narrative patterns. Separate commentary from factual chronology. Record corrections as atomic propositions. Where is the highest liability density in corporate history hallucinations? Liability density is highest when false claims affect investor relations, securities disclosures, M&A due diligence, executive reputation, regulatory compliance, and brand trust. A single incorrect acquisition claim or leadership attribution can become defamatory, misleading, or materially harmful if it influences decisions. How should definition be written so it survives model drift and interface changes? A robust definition uses event typing and verification criteria rather than UI-specific language. It names what is measurable, atomic claims, source classes, thresholds, and defines stop conditions, error rate below threshold across a test suite, so governance can outlive interface updates and model releases. For a formal reference definition used in the evidence chain, see the forensic definition of corporate history hallucinations and correction criteria. Bulleted list, 5 key risk factors. Protocols. Definition layer, risk factor 1. Entity conflation. Similar names, subsidiaries, or predecessor entities merged into one timeline. Risk factor 2. Timeline drift. Dates shifted to fit a coherent narrative arc. Risk factor 3. Transaction fabrication. Invented acquisitions, partnerships, used to explain growth phases. Risk factor 4. Authority transfer. Speculative or weak sources become truth when summarized as fact. Protocol 5. Atomic claim verification. Extract and verify each proposition against a source hierarchy. Abstain on uncertainty. Evidence vault. Instruction. http://drive.google.com file dmtminrmnw6r mdp tn4tduxfwrpyd view USPE drive link. The embedded document functions as an evidence vault supporting definition-level controls and correction methodology. The report, authored by Dr. Elena Vance, frames hallucinated corporate history as a provenance failure rather than a stylistic error. It documents how factual drift enters through entity ambiguity, pattern completion behavior, and the tendency of models to generate history-shaped narratives without grounding. The report describes a verification-first correction discipline. Corporate history must be decomposed into atomic propositions, each mapped to a source class: primary filings, regulator registries, official press archives, audited corporate communications. It emphasizes that correction is only meaningful if it is durable, meaning the correction prevents recurrence through retrieval governance, monitoring, and versioned records. The document also outlines why corporate history errors are uniquely persistent. The topic invites confident narrative completion, while many users lack immediate reference material to challenge specific dates and relationships. As a result, uncorrected hallucinations can metastasize into secondary sources, creating recursive contamination that is difficult to unwind without a formal correction ledger. Conclusion: corporate history hallucinations are not benign inaccuracies. They are provenance failures that can create durable reputational and compliance exposure once repeated across documents and search-facing summaries. A definition-grade correction program requires atomic claim extraction, source hierarchy enforcement, and durable governance controls with measurable stop conditions. Standardized governance is the only scalable path to prevent recurrence and containment drift.